Figured it out, got the late game team fight that KT probably were going to struggle to find, and now in game number 2, hitting champ select, we'll see what is going to change as the teams switch sides. KT now on blue.
Griffin ban Rakan, first ban on red side. That's interesting. We don't necessarily think of KT as a funneling team too often, but I guess the funnel is on, you would imagine, because otherwise it seems like a bit of an interesting first ban. Back it up with the Aatrox, of course.
Marta and Deft played the Xayah Rakan against SKT, got that comeback victory in game number 2, I guess. Maybe something that they were looking at.
First ban, it just seems like a bit of a reach. KT will ban the Trundle that we kind of assumed they would look at Atlas. We were speaking about it pre-series, how before the series started, it was 7-0 Trundle, 7-0 Vladimir for Tarzan and Viper, respectively.
And now what does KT get? Do they get Swain, Taliyah, or Nocturne, depending on what Griffin want to ban away here?
Or does Griffin get 2 out of the 3 and ban none of them? And the answer is yes.
Looks like that's what it's going to be. Tahm Kench going to be the final ban here. Bit of a throwaway from Griffin, who will be able to pick some pretty huge ones in the next round. You expect something like Nocturne to come in, but Taliyah, another option, given the fact that they can flex it pretty hard, considering UCal, but Score giving him the Nocturne is going to be the priority for KT.
KT got the Nocturne, and they get it pretty frequently because of other bans coming through. There should be Taliyah and the Swain as an answer, unless Griffin are willing to give up the Swain, which they don't really play Swain that well. I don't think you're worried about Swain when it's coming from Griffin, because now we have seen them go 1-2. A loss for Chovy, and now 1-1 for Viper in the bot lane. They're going to hover Taliyah forever. I think they're really considering whether they actually want to reach for the Swain at all. But if you give KT Swain, Daddy UCal got that name for some amazing Swain play, and Deft has actually been pretty impressive on the Swain and bot lane as well.
But now they've picked the Zoe, and KT have Nocturne Galio if they want it. The Galio, of course, still available. One of those things that gets overlooked when you don't have these junglers that are necessarily the dive-in types. You'd say that Nocturne certainly is one of those, and UCal on the Galio is certainly a big deal. If they don't pick it here, I'll eat a hat, because damn, it's looking like a strong choice. However, Swain's still there, and I guess KT will lock in a bottom lane.
I think you take the Swain. I think you're going to have to eat that hat, Atlas. Maybe you're going to have to go buy
a
nacho
I need to buy a hat. I guess my hair kind of looks like a hat as well.
If you eat your hair, that'd be pretty hype. I'll definitely retweet that video. Griffin, remember Taliyah might be played by Viper in the bot lane. No guarantee that it is going to be in the jungle role. Very likely we're going to be seeing Chovy on the Zoe, given it's his career most played. First round Pyke actually will come out from Griffin. This is a counter pick to Alistar, because you can ult him, and remember, the way that the death from below works, if you're below a certain health threshold, doesn't matter how much damage reduction you have, you're just dead. So that's the counter pick there. A bit of Hook City action coming in from Lehens.
And is it going to be Lehens? Because remember, it was Viper playing the AD Pyke on the bottom side of the map. And we'll see whether that is going to finally come out from Griffin. Varus going to be the ban from Griffin their first time. I'm
surprised I allowed that to slip out of my head. I think I got too excited front-loaded, and I was like, they're not going to do that. But
being too excited makes sense in a matchup like this.
That's true. There's a lot to be excited about.
I know. We're so excited today.
Yay.
Whoa! We just want a game 3. That's why we're getting so damn excited for this one. As Kindred going to be banned away from Tarzan, Ashe and Varus, both of the archery AD carries banned away from Deft. Maybe we'll be going back to the Caitlyn on the bottom side of the map, but he's most likely playing the Swain, so it's a bit of an odd one.
I feel like we unironically and ironically use Excited more in KT games, even when we're not attempting to use Excited for the meme potential. Well, the GP is going to be banned here, and Griffin have to reveal something, because we think it's Zoe mid, we think it's Pyke support, but even then, these things are up in the air.
We even think that it's Taliyah jungle, so there could be a lot of things that Griffin could do here. I believe Viper is one of our awesome dudes that's played the Taliyah on the bottom side of the map.
He has, but that was Taliyah Shen, and Shen was first banned from KT Rolster this game.
Well, this isn't going to give us very much extra information if they're going to lock it in, and the Kled picked up now for Griffin. KT, we will see exactly what this composition is going to bring us, as they can still pick up that Galio if they want to.
You'd think it's top lane Kled. It seems like a sword pick, doesn't it, if you think about it? They already have Zoe, so very likely Zoe is going mid lane. KT do have to deal with general disarray in the pick order. Seems like it's going to be the top lane cannon into what they assume is going to be a Kled. But Griffin definitely likes to do frisky stuff as a crowd gasps. This would be Deft on the Swain, and it's going to be probably that mid lane Yasuo against the Zoe.
We know Deft has been playing a little bit of Yasuo, but yeah, I think you're exactly right, Papa. I think it's going to be The Yasuo in the hands of Yukal into Zoe, exactly the matchup that we wanted. And now, where is everything going, Griffin? Sort out your team comp and show us where everyone's going to fit on Summoner's Rift. Oh, okay, the Jace is going to be locked in. So I believe that's... where?
There's a lot of different things you can do here with the draft. We know Lahen's going to be on support Pyke. It feels like it's going to be mid lane Jace, you would think, but it's probably going to be top lane if you really reason it through. That means bot lane Kled. All right. We'll see if they settle on that. Jace does very well into cannon because you can poke him really, really hard. And the only time you're usually in range for an all-in is when you're all-in to try to kill the cannon. So this would be Jace top lane. As a selection here, we had that Gnar, Jace, and Kennen triangle in the past when it comes to the meta. So we're actually getting bot lane Kled. Okay, Viper, I think you've gone too far. I think science doesn't know what to make of this. This isn't going in no textbook.
Yeah, this is some dark technologies being picked up by Griffin on the bottom side of the map, but they've managed to create themselves some decent lanes. They've got Tarzan on... Kled, the loudest champion in the game. But also, the fans really filling up the Soli Stadium here today, screaming for both KT and Griffin victories. Not sure what that says, Papa, I'm sorry. My translation skills not quite up there, but some Griffin fans in the audience as well. Smeb, he's in a bit of trouble as Marta, thinking about the flagpole, gets in there, does have the exhaust down onto Tarzan's sword, down to 200 health. They get themselves a flash, and the Nocturne taking a bit of return damage. But damn, KT, they were looking for that one. Marta found a lot of damage there and a lot of CC, but was the flash worth it?
I think so, because it does a huge favor for Smeb in a bad matchup. He's going to have a flash advantage, so much threat going to be enacted
and
onto the Jace.
Advantage as well.
But it does mean that Kled and Pyke are going to have an easier job bot lane. So we'll see how that one looks. Griffin's still on the front foot with the invade here.
Yeah,
Seems like they're going to fully disengage.
We've got the bottom lane teleporting down in form of Deft. He's going to 1v1 against Viper for a little while because the Pyke already roaming around the map here at a minute and a half into the game.
Before that stopwatch is online, Kled probably has some decent all-in options here. If the Bone Skewer hits from Lahen's, Lahen's had to go on a very long, merry journey to get to the bot lane. Amada will be laning with no summoners. What will it all mean? We still have to have the privilege of sitting here and finding out, as even though he has a flash advantage with a Nocturne jungle with the Nocturne bot side, Cannon's being respectful against Sword.
Yeah, probably will be for the first few levels at least. Is Chovy going to push this wave in against Yukal? We know this is a lane that can go both ways. Certainly can be a dangerous one as Tarzan picks up this Rift Scuttler on the bottom side.
Speaking of something that goes both ways, the Cannon is going AP this time. So it's the old Smeb special, baby. Are you ready for those flank teleports? Because you know that Smeb is definitely ready.
You better believe I am ready, Pop Smithy. I'm always ready for that. And I'm ready for this as well, as Yukal going aggressive on Chovy in the mid lane.
We called for it.
Exactly.
We called for this matchup. We wanted to see Yasuo versus the Zoe. Yukal's Yasuo, such a hard carry performance. 15 kills earlier this week, and Chovy's Zoe, his most impressive pick. So when it comes to skill matchups, fun matchups, we got them abound. And we've also got this abomination in the bot lane of Kled carry.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether Viper can make it work out here, because of course they do have the summoner spell advantage. And if KT push out a little bit too far, it could be just danger times. If Viper jousts his way in, gets the bear trap down, and Lahen's lands all of his CC, it could just be a dead Deft Armada.
It does feel like the level 3 could be insane here. Armada doesn't really provide anything defensively, can only just pulverize because Flash is down.
Potentially headbutt them back, but I see what you mean.
With the expectation that the Nocturne started bot side, Sword is now having his top laner senses kick in.
And they're going to be correct too, because the Nocturne is going to flash over. Good
Score
God.
is going for a path that can't be scouted, but Tarzan is here. Here we go.
In goes Smeb. It seems that Score has got the memo as Tarzan turns up. Will they be able to get the chase? They don't as the Nocturne falls down. Smeb is going to be able to get that one, but Tarzan, he got the double buffs, and now Smeb's trying to do all the work that he can. Another mark is going to come in. He's going to be able to pick up another stun, but Viper teleports top, and the Seismic Shove's going to pick it up. A 2-for-1 in the top lane for Griffin.
They're seeing a second teleport top as Sword just goes back to lane. They're giving up a lot here. Viper doesn't get a kill involvement. That's why you see that Smeb stayed topside. He had nowhere to run. He knew he would die. Lehen's the only one bot side. It's early in the game. It seems like they're going to lose about 3 or 4 minions. The minion wave won't arrive. Tarzan is sticking around. Score flashed over because it was the only path that could not possibly have been scouted. But Tarzan's top laner, Jungle Sense, was there. He was there for coverage in a way that he wasn't last time these two teams faced. And that means it ends up being very, very even. A little bit of advantage with Viper roaming top.
Yeah, really nice play from Sword as well to still play respectfully even if his ward hadn't spotted anything out. KT punished for an overly aggressive dive top, or overly aggressive gank top. Great positioning from Griffin, and once again the mind games being enacted on both sides.
I think people look at the Flash and they think Bronze Flash, what's he doing? But the only way to next level when you respect your opponent, and KT clearly respect Griffin, is to do something that couldn't be scouted. Sword was already pulling back in terms of respect of the expected bot lane to top lane gank. You can't expect someone to flash over a wall. We haven't seen that since the level 1 shenanigans days in the past when Braum would join you after you flashed over the wall. He was trying the next level, but Tarzan being in the right spot makes it a lot more honest of a trade than Score originally calculated.
Well, now Viper's actually going for a merry waltz around the bottom side of the map. Pyke unlocked towards the top side, as you can see. Lehen's getting out of lane very early so far this game. Hasn't found too much just yet, but they've got some deep vision to try and spot out where Score's going to be pathing around. He successfully navigated himself to level 5 now as he just dings over. Tarzan as well, looking for that one. Mid laners have hit that level 6 mark, but it's all going to be about Marta roaming to try and set Yukal up for something.
Also, will be all about whether Griffin can get eyes on Score. Score, as we can see, about 3 camps away from level 6. Only vision they have is on the Krug camp right now. Does Griffin? That will, when it respawns, let them know whether Nocturne is likely on the top side, the bot side, and now, with the vision being cleared out, the doubt will start to creep in for the side of Griffin.
Yeah, both junglers actually getting seen, I believe. Tarzan was about to walk over a ward, looking for this gank with Lehen's bottom side of the map. But KT, they're not going to push too far forward. And also on the top side of the map, Score takes out a control ward, but his position given away as well. You talk about respectful play. It's very measured, very reserved on both sides of the map for these teams. You can see in the mid lane is the only real CS difference that looks like it means anything, but range versus melee, you could imagine Yukal's going to struggle for the first few levels until he can have some sort of threat or more swift clear with the Yasuo.
Biggest doubt to me this game is the bot lane clip. That's not just the laning phase sounded a bit hairy, it's just there's 2 prongs here. Firstly, we've had a lot of Kled. Post the super carry Doinby game for Rogue Warriors, a lot of it's been bad from the first-time Kled players, and I guess we shouldn't be surprised. The only resident Kled we had was Cuvée in past seasons, so a lot of people trying to work out the champion because of that big carry performance for Doinby. Look at the comp that the Kled is picked with. Who is running in with the Kled? Because you say, maybe nobody?
Well, there's the paranoia in the mid lane. They want to get the Zoe, who immediately flashes to get underneath that turret. Chovy turns it around, but that's a really nice wind wall from Yukal. Project Yasuo skin working out for him.
And you see a great demonstration of KT have plenty of people who would love the charge to engage further into a team fight. Tarzan stealing away the blue as a penalty. Griffin don't really have anyone other than Pyke who wants to be diving in, so there's not necessarily the compositional synergy there. Tarzan returning to the scene of the crime here. Score has already put down a trinket ward. And there's also just, okay, Viper's also a first-time pro-play Kled player. Given his litany of one-of champion picks, you give him some respect there as they're looking for a turret dive.
Yeah, you can see Smeb once again going to have a lot of attention given to him on the top side of the map, but vision is now available to him. They spot out Tarzan, who's going to use the blast cone to get himself out of there. Nocturne saving his top laner. As now Deft is looking for Viper. They know that Lehen's is roaming around the map, and he's a little bit too far forward. Remember, Kled, pretty safe with the untargetability that you have when you dismount. However, once he does hop off Skull, it's going to be very difficult for him to continue laning.
Big sucky thing is your movement speed when you're dismounted is super slow, and I think Alistar will always get the trample stun in, and that will probably be the doom of the Kled. So does have the charge to disengage in some scenarios, and maybe that can pop some CC as well.
Yeah.
Unless you flash in front of it, it's pretty hard. It's bot lane.
There's the never move. Doesn't get the Vision of Empire. Is Deft, but he's been one of our best Swains, and he's decided to pull the trigger now. They're going in onto Lehens, but he's got a stopwatch. Teleports coming in from Griffin as Marta's going to get out of there. They've given up on Deft. They know he's going to die here. He does use his stopwatch, but I have a feeling that was a silly choice because 5 members versus just Deft down here, and it is going to be X marks the spot for the kill.
Teleport used again, though. Griffin has been using extra things when they make these kills. In top lane, we saw Viper teleport up. In bot lane, we see the Jace teleport in as well, and only gets involved to the tune of an assist.
It's a teleport immediately back from Deft, though, so not going to lose too much as far as minions are concerned. They do not get themselves an Ocean Drake. That's going to go to Griffin. That's going to be the spoils that they pick up from that particular gank. 2,000 gold also going to be the lead here, given the first blood trade on the top side of the map with the extra kill and that gank on the bottom side.
Remember that we are still on patch 8.13. We had the death timers in the early game adjusted. Level 7 and earlier they are shorter, so Def was level 6 when he died. Gets to lane, doesn't lose much, as you mentioned, Atlas. Viper finished his first meaningful pickup. Understandably, he's going to be involved in the pushing, so he's working towards a Titanic Hydra as the first item on bot lane.
Not going to be grabbing that early phage that we see a lot of Kleds pick up as well. It's going to be Black Cleaver, but it's when you build it as far as the order that is a question mark for some players.
In a solo lane, that Rage passive means so much for trading, but when you have a lane partner, the movement speed isn't quite as important. Yukal on a nice roam timing here does pick up his Steel Tempest knockup, but Sword once again. Understanding the scenario he's in. Bot
Going
side.
back home as, Def doesn't have his stopwatch, remember. Going to pull the hens back in. Still feeling very comfortable. He does have that catalyst. Gives him a lot of ability to stay around in this lane no matter what Griffin do.
No turret aggro onto Lehens, and no ultimate available for Def. Means no chase down kill. Def just picked up to the Swain really well. Misjudged the previous scenario, got owned by the teleport, but has been a pretty impressive Swain, all things considered. Def's flash is down, his ult is down, his ult is back up, and the Nocturne is here.
Yeah, Marta is in there as well. Oh, doesn't find the Never Move just onto Lehens. As I believe they don't know that Score is down here. Tarzan also unknown to Smeb as to his whereabouts, and we'll see whether Smeb's going to continue playing a little bit disrespectfully, given the fact that he doesn't have the vision control around this area.
They need to get something out of him, a lightning rush at least, otherwise pretty difficult for this gank to be pulled off.
Now Score looking back towards the mid lane as well. Yukal was moving towards bottom side of the map. He's evened out that CS very, very effectively. Now Sword, unfortunately for him, is going to have to push this wave further forward, giving Smeb even more safety here in this lane. Actually trying to trim it, even things out here between Sword and Smeb.
Trying to predict the lane pathing and hit a seismic shove here onto Smeb is the order of the game here for Tarzan, but for now at least, nothing doing. Tarzan's time wasted. Top lane sense from Smeb. One of the best in this way. His teleports, his top lane sense have always been so impressive. This season, a bit too hasty on the trigger finger. He definitely made some big mistakes. We call them unforced errors in a tennis-like manner here in the LCK. But when he's on, we know that Smeb is absolutely one of the best.
And he's also had a very good game number 1 as well. We know that Smeb plays around momentum very effectively. He's going to continue doing so here today. We'll see whether the cannon's going to work out here on the top side as he gets ganked yet again by Tarzan. Of course, they've got so much vision control up here. But it looks like they're not going to, once again, find enough joy because he's just been playing too safely. Does the face check actually come down, though?
What is his incentive to face check any of these brush? He knows he doesn't have vision there. He knows there could be an enemy control ward or an enemy jungler there. His jungler is topside now, so maybe he starts to walk up. His Score going to be revealed onto this Scuttle Crab, but Smeb's just playing with the incomplete information he has and not looking to take advantage of anything. Remember that the Jace is a counter matchup into the cannon as well.
Also, I mean, Tarzan literally wasted about 5 minutes of his time that he could have been clearing our camps. You can see that Score has been able to pull ahead by about 3 or 4 camps worth, even taking down Rift Scuttles under the nose of Tarzan. I mean, now that Smeb's got a little bit more extra time.
Sword hasn't gone for the Hex Drinker yet, but might consider it against the dual threats of Swain and the cannon. Marta walking up. Plenty of control bot side for Griffin, for KT, but remember that Griffin could just choose to disregard it and ult in with the charge. So Viper will have a fast roam to mid lane at least at this point.
You can see Griffin have got so much vision topside of the map. There are a couple of sneaky wards in there for KT, but if the Nocturne's topside, they know exactly what's going on. Griffin are really putting a lot of work into making sure Sword will have that counter matchup effectiveness that you were talking about. But is it going to be working against them if they put too many resources into a lane that was already going to be good? As Marta, he's here. Perfect timing actually against Yukal, who gets a knock-up, doesn't pull the trigger, as Viper also not going to dive all the way forward on the charge. And you have to make that decision very early, but he does make his way out as well.
Had his jousting available to just dodge out. Doesn't need to flash or anything like that, but no ability to capitalize. We mentioned already, the charge is not the sort of ability that champions like Zoe and Taliyah can profit off of when it comes to the eventual engage. And I think Griffin will struggle in terms compositionally, in terms of the 5v5 in the late game.
And Marta's been unlocked. His cow is now on the roam. Yukal going to eat some honey fruit and help take down Shelly in the mid lane. Feels like KT have found a momentum point here at about 15 minutes in, when they know all of their buttons have a lot of synergy together, and all of the time wasted by Griffin on the top side of the map means that gold lead that they got very early isn't going to change, as Smeb's going to get booped out. Everyone's going to meet each other, though. Marta with massive damage. He's going to try and find more with all the CC that he has available to him. As Tarzan gets booped out, that's a disaster. Deft wants to find more. Demonic Ascension comes in, but X marks the spot, and that's going to be the Nocturne falling down. KT, how have you not got a kill out of all of this? And Paddlestar even going to register. Double kill comes in for the Zoe as Chovy has been unleashed, and Griffin get handed a team fight out of nowhere.
With the teleport and the first rotation, Yukal never gets there, and Griffin are able to pick up 2 kills. Sword doesn't die at the start, doesn't even use his flash. Smeb thought he was clear to go in because he thought he had the backup first, but with teleport, that backup can be very fickle.
Yeah, man. I don't know how that went wrong for KT. That Pulverize looked all too good from Deft, but they didn't have the damage to layer on top of it. And then everyone able to escape on about nothing in the end.
In the early game, Griffin will win fights because they have a lot of strong champions who came out of strong laning phase. We're going to watch the replay as Smeb was angling for this fight. Can't burst down the Jace just yet. The Magic Resist shield is there. You think it's over just because of what happens, but Lehens gets a double stun on the disengage. Chovy is so much earlier. Consider where Yukal is this entire time. He is not there, and that is the big problem. Deft, he has a rod of ages. He's not a burst champion just yet. Chovy is running around, cleaning up kills. They don't have their Yasuo. Again, I was mentioning that eventually KT had the teamfight comp. Eventually is not now at 1 item. And they choose to fight when I think Griffin is going to be more than competitive in the 5v5. It was a 5v4, and that means KT go down.
Yep, and it was unfortunate for Deft. He missed a whole bunch of his buttons, and everyone was just kiting around the Demonic Ascension. Having a look at that fight yet again, just the Swain unable to get what he wanted to do done, given the fact that he had already done a whole bunch of work in the laning phase to sort out that big damage total, as we just saw on our screen. Griffin trying to do a Shelly, who will be able to get at least 1 charge. Not quite. Oh, is able to finish it off. Thankfully, there's a caster minion to back her up. Griffin do lose the mid lane outer turret, but they were already able to take top, and that meant that they only extended that gold lead, which is hit close to 5,000 at 18 minutes into the game. Fantastic news for Griffin, as Bone Skewer not going to find Marta.
Definitely need to double down on it when it's relevant, which is now. By the late game, charging into Swain, Cannon Ultimate, even just Cannon Nocturne as a dive duo, is going to be things that Griffin are not compositionally able to answer, but they have very strong siege. They have strong split push with the Jace in the side lane, and they have a lot of damage and turnaround Baron. So we'll see how Griffin play around those advantages. No Drakes have been taken in the first 18 minutes of the game because everyone packed up and went top lane.
Yeah, I mean, Griffin did manage to get that free Ocean earlier on, but it is now going to be the Mountain Drake that they can pick up for themselves as well. At about 20 minutes in, we're not looking at one of those 5 Drake games at all. As Smeb was going for the steal, the Shuriken steal, I like it. Buffed up a little bit, given the fact that he's got himself a Proto Belt, as well as his Seeker's Arm Guard. Yukal looking to try and get his split push on, as Lehens will turn up as well. Viper gets in here, but it's just the bottom lane. They're not going to go aggressive on the Yukal.
Definitely a better lane assignment for the side of Griffin, though. Just trying to hold down the Yasuo. I think Yukal just wants to split push to a second item. See what his decision is. Infinity Edge will certainly cut through Griffin very quickly, but you could understand a Guardian Angel as well.
Or a Hex Drinker if he decides to go there. That Null Magic Mantle is looking a little bit curious at the moment. As far as the jungle mid duo is concerned, getting some magic resist would make some sense. Chovy dancing around this mid lane, but it's very long. And of course, Zoe's not exactly one of those champions that is safe from a gank. Stopwatch is at the ready at this point in time, though, and that's going to be the Durham's Fist coming in for Yukao, so a respectful build. Much like this whole series has been so far, a lot of respect from both of these teams.
Griffin have some tricky options this game. Normally, when you see a comp like Griffin's, you think 4-1, and that 4-1 would usually be Jace in a side lane. I'd consider the 1-3-1, but you're definitely thinking of some split and just having Zoe rain down hell from the mid lane. Unfortunately, it's Nocturne, who is the best of the siege breakers when it comes to reliability, and in the paranoia, both figuratively and literally, of that Nocturne ultimate, Kennen comes in from the flank and you just all die. So that's the problem. They can't really load up around that, so they have to be very careful. Jace would love to just be keeping Kennen in the lane, getting him low, and then using his W and smashing down Toast, the hyperdrive. And it's possible that could happen, but every time Score's ult is up, that play becomes tricky. There's so much flank, there's so much engage, and it's so reliable that Griffin have to really choose their battles carefully. We said the same thing about KT in game number 1, and they did go on to win that game.
They did. However, the gold lead was not like this. Of course, KT were able to navigate that early game very effectively. Things on the other feet, though, as far as how this game's late game is projected to look for both of the teams. Now that KT are the one vying for that late game, who's going to be able to find it is the real question. Smeb struggling here against Sword, but does at least have the wave clear with the Proto Belt, which is going to save his turret for at least one more wave. Marta, will he get down there in time, as Tarzan was looking to try and kill the Kenny?
Yuka's going for the extended fight build, going for Sterix as a second item to weather the storm, past the inevitable paddle stars and bit of burst that comes the way of the Yasuo with an extended fight. The Phantom Dancer and also the Overshield is going to give him so much longevity. If the fight goes long, you have to think that KT's going to win it.
Yeah. Cute little exhaust to come down from the W from Chovy, but now Deft is just going to clear out this wave. And this tower still above half health, even if it's only by a Skerrick. Doing. These trouble bubbles need to be respected. There's Marta just wandering around, trying to find his way in. His opportunity, his potential engage. Remember, this guy flashed level 1 to pulverize 2 people. He wants to fight, as Marta always does. Never move, not going to land here from Deft in the mid lane. Another wave just to be picked up. Slow and steady. At this point, 22 minutes in, Shelly already utilized to take down that mid-outer turret. These other outers certainly not taking too much threat, as you've got Tarzan looking to weave his wall his way in. Yukao just destroying the outer turret top lane very, very easily. That's going to go down, but it's traded. Outer in bottom lane also falling.
This game is so much posturing, it's so much implied action, but no true action, which I'm sure some viewers with just that thirst for blood would be a little bit disappointed, but hopefully it's in service of a really big moment. The crescendos we got to in game number 1, no sona pun intended, were beautiful to see. So hoping here that the table setting is for a delicious main course. Feels like we have 2 hype scenarios where KT wins 2-0 and then they 4-0'd Griffin, and if they meet in a best of 5, you're just like, is it Griffin's Kryptonite, the one team that could beat them in both round robins? If we go to a 3rd game, we get 3 games in this series, so either way, feeling pretty good.
Yep, I feel like this is the meal where it doesn't matter what the course is, what the options are, it's just the chef is so good that it doesn't actually matter, just give me something. It's Griffin posturing around the mid lane. Def not going to find another never move. Trouble Bubble also going to go wide, though, as Paranoia invested. They want to find this fight. See who they're actually going to jump on. Score, holding onto the button. This is no MLXG Nocturne. Decides that he wants to play this one slow. Charge to come into the mid lane, though. Are we going to get the knockups? Are we going to get Yukao in there? As still, we're posturing. Still, it's the teams looking for the right options. They knew. They smelt the flank, and Sword is not going to be able to make his way in from the side. They do manage to get the ultimate out of Deft, and now KT moving themselves back into the mid lane to joust once more.
They do get Kennen's teleport out, which is really big for the Jace, who wants to hyperdrive down some turrets in the side lane during that duration. Sword walked up, Smeb teleported in. There was a shallow teleport from Smeb as well. That's a lot of pressure relieved, and this is pressure from Griffin.
Yep, Def's going to move out from the side. Bone Skewer's not going to land, though, and he just suffers half of his health bar in damage and then walks away. Griffin not overextending KT, not getting over-aggressive for the opportunities that they didn't know were there. Now Griffin siege once more. Mata, you can see it, he wants this flank. Smeb as well hasn't given his position away as KT decide they'll give up on this turret, and Smeb stays bottom side.
A 300 health turret when Smeb's teleport is up and you can't see him is an objective that you are overextending trying to hit with Jace. When you just saw the cannon teleport, it is an objective you can walk up for. So Griffin do understand what they got from blowing the teleport. They take the mid lane turret that could have lasted another 5 minutes. In a different scenario, Yukal still goes top, and Yukal is evolving into what we know, the butterfly that is the Yasuo, hits 3 or 4 items that really you look at and you say, that's very beautiful. I need to stay away from it, though. I'm a little bit terrified of butterflies, apparently, in this analogy.
Well,
that's
I mean,
what happens here.
there's a lot of animals that are incredibly beautiful, but it's because they're so deadly, Papa Smith. Mostly in the plant kingdom, you know? Venus flytraps and stuff like that smell so lovely to these insects, and then the insects just get eaten, which is much like Yukal's Yasuo. Completely understand your analogy. Viper, he's going to shove the top wave forward as well. Can the Venus flytrap actually snap shut at any point, though? Because we haven't seen the last breaths to start these fights, and KT, like you mentioned before, it's all about posturing. They want to get the team fights instead of just getting sieged on and have these objectives be taken away from under their noses by Griffin.
There's just so many fights you can piece together when you know the first part of it. Marta flash pole, well, that sounds like a Yasuo team fight. A trouble bubble hitting on really any member of KT in the front line, and maybe that's the fight that Griffin can take down. We need to see it in front of our eyes, but it's probably going to be a result of the vision line. Very strong control ward line behind the pit here for Griffin, but maybe not as aggressive as the 5,000 gold lead they're currently wearing might look. Speaking of aggressive.
Yep, we are going to find the 2v1. Can Yukal actually find himself the victory here, though? Last breath does come down, only gets one knock-up for it, though, and the Yasuo is going to die first. KT turn up to the fight early, however, they're still getting outmanned, and Lahens takes down the Nocturne. Now it's another stopwatch for Deft, but finds himself in amongst 4 people. X marks the spot yet again, and Mata also going to suffer defeat. 1-9 in kills. Griffin, they can go to Baron if they want. Smeb was too far away.
He didn't have teleport, and KT went in. This is the KT scenario, the KT syndrome. We see too often. They often make one severe misplay every game. We saw it in game 1 with the Smite. Here is the decision to commit on a fight when there was no way for Smeb to get there.
Well, Tarzan sets up the Weaver's Wall. They want to get this done in the 5 seconds it provides. However, it doesn't even matter because Smeb decides he's not going to try and fight it. Baron goes down, and now KT is staring down the barrel of a very powerful Griffin.
Hens comes in. They fight onto Yukal. We know Smeb can't be there. He's bot lane when this all starts, but everyone comes in. Predictably, Griffin are going to get 5 members top. They outnumber from the beginning. Nice little use of the ultimate there. Get some reset potential going on for Lahens. And KT just realized too late that they had no business fighting against Griffin at this point.
Yeah, really nice. 2 versus 1 on the top side to start it all off there for Griffin as well. Yukal, you saw him, you thought maybe he could get some work done, but now it's all looking like it's falling to pieces. We're close to a 10,000 gold lead. 28 minutes into this game for Griffin, and they still have 3 minutes of the Baron buff to tick down. See how much of the base is going to remain standing for KT and after this wears off.
And the options for KT to win this game now become necessities. Now, if the teleport, which is up in about 20 seconds from Smeb, doesn't explode 3 people, they probably just lose Atlas. The siege here is insane from Griffin. They can also look for an engage. I hear a charge.
Yeah, another charge is going to come in as, okay, Viper is at least going to turn up to the spot that he was looking for, but that's just going to zone KT away from this inner turret. Tarzan doing a lot of damage, but they've got this huge minion wave and Baron empowered creep, so it goes down very, very quickly. The next inner pinged in the mid lane. Is Griffin just going to drop them like dominoes? KT, where are the options?
They don't have any. They have to all in with Smeb because they don't have any wave clear. They have a Yasuo, they have Deft throwing out Nevermoves to try to wave clear against Baron. They just can't do it. That's not what their comp was built for. It's built for engage. They pick a really bad time to do so. And this means they're now in a really tough spot. They haven't broken the base yet, Griffin. So there's a minute 30 of Baron remaining. It's breaking the base that is the thing that Griffin needs to do to fully capitalize on the lead they find themselves in.
It's going to be the top wave that's going to be shoved in for Griffin now. Sword headed up there because KT had done a good job of preparing that before the Baron was employed to take down the other inner turrets. But, like you say, base not broken yet. Feels like it's a matter of time. There's just so much more money on this Griffin squad and so much more opportunity to pick up more. The snowball factor is well and truly on, and I don't know what KT can do to turn it around.
You're a KT fan, your boys in blue can fight. They have strong team fight. They outscale in team fight super hard. We said the same thing about Griffin in game number 1, and KT just opened up a portal to a new dimension. The Rise Ultimate was used in ways that were far more creative than we've seen outside of this week's Telecom War and today. And they turn around the on-paper advantage and beat down Griffin for their 3rd game win in a row against this squad. KT are still set up for success. Yukal is very tanky, and in a long enough fight, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have the IE, but this might not be a long fight.
Yep, charge is going to come down. At least the seismic shove doesn't land onto Yukal. As okay, Viper's going to joust his way out. That's a lot of buttons now on cooldown as teleport to come in. Smeb wants to get over the wall. There it is, the ultimate to come forward. Tarzan with a stopwatch of perfect timing though. And now Yukal needs to find the knock-up if they're going to get this work done, because KT members are falling left, right, and center. This play from Griffin is stunning. Doesn't matter if the cannon gets in there, you're too damn far behind.
I think we go to game number 3. I think they might just about close out the game here. Death time is around 40 seconds on Death. See if that's too bold a call. They don't have minions, but Griffin just perfect aced KT Rolster.
Yeah, the 5-man ace. Thankfully, backdoor bonus is in here at the moment for KT fans, but now the minions turn up and these structures will evaporate. Griffin, you were talking about the hyperdrive many times, Papa. Sword is going to eat these turrets. They've got so many people with auto attack damage. Nexus is going to die next, and like you say, we have a treat today. It's game 3, KT versus Griffin.